Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Abbott with the Market Insights and Thought Leadership team of Thomson Reuters. Joining me today is Senior Client Relationship Manager David Johnson, also with the Market Insights team. David, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We have just released the 2021 State of the UK Legal Market Report, and it's been a crazy year, 12 to 15 months. As you look back on 2020, kind of what are some of the key takeaways from the report? You played a significant role in the development of this report. So what were your key takeaways?
Oh, well, where to start? I think, well, the first thing to say is, for firms in particular, to say that 2020 was an extraordinary year would be a bit of an understatement. We've had this sudden switch to working from home, while at the same time trying to stay on the front foot in supporting the disruption suffered by their clients, and not to mention some of the initial disruption caused by the closing of all the courtrooms. And then on top of that, within the UK context specifically, you've got Brexit taking effect as of the end of 2020. So all in all, an extremely eventful year. In terms of what we're seeing come through in this year's report, well, there's some really interesting takeaways on how firms and their clients have tried to deal with this. I think one of the big shifts that we've seen in our data is the extent to which clients have really turned to those trusted advisors who they've had long-standing relationships with. This wasn't the year that corporate legal departments looked out into the market and thought, should we bring new firms in? This was the year that they looked at the list of the current firms that they were working with and they asked themselves those questions. Of the 5, 6, 7, 10 firms that we're working with, which 3, 2, or 1 firm do we trust the most? Who's invested in this relationship over the last few years? So relationships have really mattered more this year than ever before we've seen in the past. And this has really shone a light on the need for firms to kind of strengthen those ties with their current clients and expand outwards upon them from there. I think the other trend that we're seeing is that clients have really responded positively to those firms that can get the value proposition right. So not just being cheaper, and that is definitely part of the equation within this year for sure, but kind of striking that balance between quality work, commercial delivery, and efficiency at the same time. I think firms delivering at the center of that Venn diagram is the holy grail for corporate legal departments in 2021. And I guess if there was a third takeaway, it would be that UK corporate legal departments are as international in their outlook as they've ever been, and they still really value the support that firms can provide when working across borders. Now, this is partly as a result of Brexit, but it's also part of a longer term trend that we've been seeing emerging over the course of the last 5, 10 years as the economy becomes more and more global in nature.
One of the things that stood out to me in the report is the difference between, on the client side, the U.S. and the U.K. in terms of some of where that importance lies. And you mentioned a couple of things there, but the one that stood out to me was that expanding the relationship side of things. And in the U.S. there may be more of an emphasis on outside counsel being more adopting technology more aggressively or more technically adept. On the U.K. side, it truly is about the relationship expansion. And I think on both sides there's been a lot of progress made in that regard. I think we come out the other side of this, or as we come out the other side of it, we're seeing that very much to be the case, and that those client relationships are stronger than they were. If you go back to the credit crisis, coming out there felt like there was this tremendous disconnect, and we're not really hearing or seeing the same things right now. So really interesting. So 2021, a new year. In a lot of ways, it feels like 2020 and not that much has changed, even though we are making progress. I mean, you and I were just talking, you're still 10 days away from the pubs opening up. So that's progress for sure. But you even mentioned, Brexit has now taken effect. What do you see in store for 2021 in the UK?
Well, I think as much as everyone hopes that things will get back to what we consider to be normal, as in pre-pandemic, as quickly as possible, I think one thing's for sure is that getting there may not be as easy as we hope. There's a lot of things on playing at the moment that we need to consider. Courts are still adjusting to having those virtual hearings, but it's generally been successful and accelerated a trend that was already well underway before the pandemic. And the legal workplace will probably look a lot differently as we kind of move forward through 2021 and beyond. That move to working from home has been in most parts, really successful over the course of the last 12 months. And our research has found that, not surprisingly, lawyers want to keep some of the more flexible working arrangements that have been thrust upon many of us over the course of the last 12 months, whether that's flexible hours, working from home, what have you. And, one of the things that we've seen through is even partners who in the past might have resisted these types of efforts for less kind of time being spent within the office are starting to, see that it can make for a happier, more productive lawyer.
Mhm.
And I think untangling how you can deliver that more modern, flexible working environment while at the same time growing the business and maintaining a collaborative culture, kind of getting that balance right is going to be really high on the agenda for a lot of firms as we move forward this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. Tremendous amount of change. I think you're right. The landscape changes permanently. I think we do see extreme swings in one direction or the other, but I think every time it comes back to what we consider to be close to normal, the bar has been permanently raised to a different level, right? So some things might return to a little bit more like normal used to be, but the entire landscape has shifted in the process.
All the time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and none of us know. I mean, I think law firms, legal departments, they come out of this in a different place for sure. Law firms weather the storm pretty effectively in 2020, and it seems like 2021 is getting off to a good start. None of us can really predict what's going to happen with COVID, what's going to happen with the economy. But if I could have you look in your crystal ball out over the next, 10, 12, 15 months, you see things from a pretty unique perspective, seeing both the client side and the law firm side. What do you think is in store for law firms over that period of time?
Well, I think it's going to be really interesting. I mean, on the one hand, we do have a lot of uncertainty in the market, but at the same time, I feel that there's huge opportunities for law firms in there, especially kind of for those firms who are willing to think strategically about how the needs of their clients and their firms are shifting and changing as we move forward. I mean, I'll give you an example. In the beginning, we talked a little bit about the increasing importance of kind of developing those relationships.
Mhm.
Clients are increasingly looking for trusted long-term arrangements with firms, and I think for the firms who can really crack the code on how you invest in and develop those institutional bonds with clients, and really kind of embed that into the culture between both parties, the opportunity to cement yourself as that trusted advisor for the next 5-10 years are absolutely huge. So there's a real opportunity in there. I think a lot of up for grabs. And I think one of the things that comes through in the report for me is that the data is telling us, I guess, there are two key tools that firms, need to have at their disposal to achieve this. The first is strong commercial and problem-solving skills, and an ethos which kind of puts strategic thinking and practical, pragmatic ways of kind of guiding clients through problems at the heart of the skills that they're trying to embed within their people. That's something that's really come through very strongly within the UK perspective. And the second is, embracing that efficiency agenda, just maintaining ways that you can continue to add value to clients by doing lower value work in a more efficient way to make sure that you're focusing on higher value through the skills and qualities that we know a lot of these premium firms have.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe one final opportunity lies in how the firms themselves operate. We know that many are kind of now starting to reimagine their relationship with the office, not only more flexible working arrangements, but what does law firm technology infrastructure look like? And do they have the proper tools to manage the workflows with their teams and to collaborate with their clients? Remote working, as we've all discovered in the last year, is far more about just having Zoom and a laptop. And I think the firms that kind of have the cutting edge tools that can really help their lawyers be efficient and collaborative as possible while working from home, stand to put themselves in a really kind of competitive position as we move forward the next 12 months.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think things that seem like they would have been unheard of before or not so appealing all of a sudden have become, okay, you know what, we can make this work and make it work pretty effectively as well. So really interesting times. David, your insights and your perspective are always incredibly valuable. So thank you for joining today. And I hope that if we get to talk again more towards the end of the year, we can do it in person and not from our respective basements or otherwise. So thanks very much. I appreciate it.
I'll drink to that. Thank you, Mike.